Hi, Brandon with Shawshank Detailing. Just wanted to go over why it's so important to protect your paint nowadays, especially on brand new cars, and how little paint is left on these new vehicles' finishes. On your vehicle. A lot of brand new cars like this Mitsubishi next to me come with 4, maybe 5 mils tops. Some are a little less, and that's how they come brand new from the factory. So now the mil is a measurement of how deep the paint is. You put a paint meter on there, it actually bounces to the metal, comes back and tells you the depth of the primer, the paint, and the clear coat. So when I say 4 mils, an average sheet of paper is about 3.8 mils. So it tells you how thin that paint is. Now remember, that is not just the clear coat. So you have even less to work with when you're buffing the clear coat. So not only is it important to protect your paint nowadays, especially on brand new cars, but it's very important to make sure whoever you have buffing the car, or if you're trying to do it yourself, make sure that you're well educated, you have the knowledge, you have the practice, maybe practice on hoods from a junkyard before you touch your car or other people's cars. And make sure when you bring your car to someone who's gonna buff, fix scratches, do paint corrections, ceramic coatings, make sure they have the knowledge and the skills to do so without damaging your paint and causing you further issues down the line. For instance, this vehicle here, someone buffed it and it's pretty bad. There's buffer trails all over the vehicle. I'll put in a clip of the video after this. It's really bad. Somebody used a high-speed rotary, probably with a wool pad it looks like, and just tore tons of paint off this car. So now parts of the vehicle only have 3.8 mils, and I'll also put a picture of me measuring it. So it's actually about a sheet of paper, and that's the primer, the paint, and the clear coat. Now, the clear coat, when you buff clear coat off a car, a lot of people don't realize 70 to 80% of your UV protectant is in the top layer of that paint. So if somebody's buffing, 10% of that paint off, they're buffing a good amount of that clear off and almost all the UV protectant. So a year, 2, 3 years down the line, you could have yellowing paint, cracking, fading, peeling. There could be a lot of issues with the paint. If you get it clear bra, PPF, vinyl wrap, when you take it off, it can peel the clear coat off with it. It's very, very important that you are aware of this owning a car. And you're aware of this when you bring it to somebody. Ask them questions. Ask if they have paint correction experience. Ask what tools they use. You can get a good idea, even if you're not an expert, that the person knows what he's doing. Typically, at least around my state, most cities only have 1 or 2 guys that really know what they're doing with it. So make sure you're bringing it to the right guy, because you can have a lot of issues down the line if you don't. Now I'm gonna go over and I'm gonna show you some of the paint readings on this car. I also wanna show you, because a lot of people watching are probably like, it's a Mitsubishi, that's why. Well, no, that's not why. Most new cars have this issue. And I'm gonna go show you the SQ5 behind it that I purchased off a dealer that someone also put a high-speed rotary on, and I don't have enough paint left to fix it, and it's my car. So now I'm gonna have to figure out how I'm gonna fix the scratches, because I can't fix it myself and I can't drive around with a car all scratched up. There's ways around it, but you really gotta know what you're doing. So I'll show you that as well. All right. Okay, so this is the Mitsubishi Outlander. It's less than a year old. Unfortunately, this client brought this to my attention right after she purchased it, because someone decided to use a high-speed rotary on the paint right when they purchased it to try to, they were probably trying to help the customer out and shine it up, but not having the knowledge of this new paint and the condition of this water-based paint that heats up very easily and damages and scratches very easily, they used old school rotary technology on it and damaged it. I'll bring you to the side to show you. You could really see the trails on the side. So as you can see that, I know they were trying to help the customer out. See the buffer marks there. But what they ended up doing is actually causing a major issue. So I'll show you, I'll measure the paint and show you why it's a major issue. So I'll show you, so let's go right here. We measure the paint, there's 3.9 there. Let me focus. 3.9. So a lot of it has 3.9 in this area. So that's about, if you look it up, the average size paper that you print with, that you write with, is 3.8. So this is about the sheet of a paper left on this paint. And that includes the primer, the base coat, and the clear coat. So as far as fixing this, there's not a lot of room for me to work with. And if you push it, you're gonna run into a major issue. So usually when someone buffs really hard, let's check up here. This is usually where they hit it the worst. Actually, it's actually not that bad. 4.2, 4.3, 4.0. Still about a sheet of paper. Oh, 3.8. So it's still, this vehicle still doesn't have enough clear coat for me to go through, compound, get the deeper scratches out, sanding if I needed to. So what I have to do is try to do the best polish I can to get the majority of the damage out from the buffer. Okay, so here's another example of why you need to protect your paint. Again, this is a brand new Mitsubishi. I think the customer's had it for like 5 months, 6 months, something like that. And as you can see, this is actually stained into the paint. It's just water leaking from here, which every car is gonna have, but not very old, already staining, damaging the paint. I have to actually buff that off. So someone who doesn't have a lot of experience with paint correction, polishing, they're just gonna hit it with aggressive compound, take a bunch of paint off, cause these buffer trails you're seeing here in the paint. See all that? Actually, let me do this. This will show even better. Look at this. Look at all that. So someone's just gonna aggressively start compounding that with an aggressive polisher and just take off a mill and thin your clear coat right out. And then you know what? They probably won't even polish it out. You'll still see some buffer marks and swirls like this. They'll wax over it. It's gonna look great when you pick it up. You'll wash it 3-4 times and it will look horrible. And you'll be wondering why the car only looks good every time someone comes and waxes it. That's why. It's actually got hundreds and thousands of scratches into the paint. All these swirls, these buffer trails, holograms, these are all minor scratches everywhere in the paint. So it's actually dulling the finish. So when someone comes and, you know, details the car and puts a wax or a filler in there, fills all those minor issues, so the car reflects and looks perfect. And then you're wondering why your car, after you wash it a couple times and go through the car wash, looks horrible again. That's why. So this is, again, another reason you need to protect the paint. If there was a ceramic coating on here, or PPF, it would protect this from staining the paint. Again, the new OEM paint that comes from the factory is very easy to scratch, stain, damage. It's not very strong at all. You can have issues real quick. And that's just water dripping from a side mirror on a brand new car. If there was a ceramic coating there, it would repel the water, as long as it was a good coating. Be wary of that too. Not all coatings are the same, and they don't all do what they promise to do. So make sure it's a reputable coating, and if it was, this would all repel off the side, and this would not happen. And if there's PPF, the same thing. If it did stain the PPF, it's in the PPF and not the paint. So it's important to protect your paint on any newer car you get. And with older cars, it's important to make sure whoever's working on your car knows what they're doing. Now, again, for the people, keyboard warriors who are looking at this, saying, it's a Mitsubishi, Brandon. That's why the issue is there. That's not true. Yes, they come with thin paint Mitsubishis, but the high-speed rotary took off so much that I can't just fix it. I can't push it. If somebody have used the right technology for this soft OEM paint, like using a dual action, like this is a 21 millimeter throw, this is a 15 millimeter throw. I got my flex over there. That's forced rotation. Love that thing. But if they use something with some newer technology on this new paint, this water-based OEM soft black paint, I'd have a little room to push it and get the scratches out for the client. But now I can't. So for everyone saying, it's because it's a Mitsubishi, Brandon. Well, this vehicle, I just posted a video a little bit ago about this vehicle being buffed with a high-speed rotary. The whole car. All I got to do so far, because I'm so busy, is give it a quick polish, and you can still see in the sunlight the buffer damage. So I need to go through this whole thing and try to fix it. There's some deep scratches I need to get out. So I'll show you. So right here, there was a deep scratch I was trying to get out, and I could tell the clear coat, just by looking at it, started to get a bit thin. So I'll show you. So like right here, there we go, 4.8. It's getting pretty thin right there. Again, that includes the clear coat. Most of the other hood is about 5, which is what you see on most. There's 5.2, 5.2, 4.8. And that's typically what you'll see on most new cars. But again, if they didn't buff it that hard, actually Audis have pretty thick paint most of the time. So if they didn't go so crazy, I'd have a little room to fix it. And now I can't. So now I got to figure out how to take out the deeper scratches without taking off too much paint, because I want to PPF this hood. And I can't PPF the hood with super thin clear, because when I take the PPF off, we're going to have issues. It might take the paint with it. There might be some big problems there. Okay, so whether you bought the vehicle, you want to hold on to it, you're leasing the vehicle for 2-3 years, it's extremely important to protect your paint nowadays. Not only is it super thin like I showed you, and there's less of it, most of it, since they became water-based paints on the cars, most of them are very easy to scratch. They're softer. You can breathe on it and scratch. You can wash it and scratch it. I have a lot of products and tools that I spent a lot of money on to make it so I can wash a car without damaging it. If you don't have all that stuff, it's very easy for you to scratch your car every time you wash it. If you're wiping it down with a quick detailer, forget about it. You're scratching it every time. So you got to be really careful, and you got to think of investing in protecting your paint if you want it to stay looking great. The gloss, when a paint looks really deep and glossy, it's because there's no scratches in it, so the light's reflecting perfectly. It's not refracting off valleys and scratches in the paint, which will dull the reflection. So it's a good idea to think about protecting your car. Whether you want to do it yourself or you want to hire a professional, just make sure you're hiring the right professional. We here at Shawshank Detailing, we do specialize in paint correction and coatings, so we can offer you help on both. We also just went to PPF training with CK Reps, so we will be offering that soon. We're just making sure we're the best we can be at it before we fully push it. And the SQ5 I showed you I just purchased, I'll be PPFing as much as I can on that. I'll be practicing on a couple other things. So we will be releasing that soon too. So we can help you any way that you want to protect the paint, but it is very, very important that you consider protection. No matter who it is doing it for you, no matter what you're putting on it, it's very important. And I just gave you some points why. If you have any questions, let us know. We also offer ceramic coatings, 1 and 2 year coatings that are extremely easy to use, so you can do it yourself. You can buy it off us, we can give you tips. I just released a video not too long ago about a 1-year coating, how to install it. You can watch that on our YouTube channel. But just remember, think about protecting your paint. It's crazy how easy it is to get damaged nowadays. And it's crazy how easy it is to go through it. So don't bring it to anyone who pretends to know what they're doing. Make sure they do. You'd be crazy. As a consumer, you'd be completely astonished if a lot of us paint correction specialists told you about how many people in our area call us asking us questions about buffing someone's car, and they're charging them hundreds of dollars to do it. And they have no experience and don't know how to do it. So they're calling someone who's been doing it for a while, asking advice. That'd shock me if I found that out. So just make sure, again, that you ask some questions, you're bringing it to the person who knows what they're doing. It's worth the wait, it's worth the money, because it could be costing you so much more in the end if you don't make sure it's going to someone who knows what they're doing and you don't get your paint protected. Again, let us know if you have any questions. Brandon with Shawshank Detailing. Thank you.
I can feel the power, I can feel the power. Feel the power. Yeah, money that is time and hour. Yeah, well, I better activate the power. I'ma activate it, gotta make it, gotta chase it. I don't care what they be saying, I'ma do it now. And I've been really slaving, I ain't giving up and I ain't giving in. Do it now for the dividends, I'll be on the path, I just gotta get it. Cause I got my mind on some bigger things. So man, I ain't gonna give in now, I just gotta live this now. I be gonna be man, I'ma kill this stuff real quick. I'ma go take it to town, cause I gotta be that king in the ring. When I'm knocking them out when I'm back with the wheel. Cause I am just up on the journey, you just know that I'm just going insane. I am a monster, there's some things that I might see. And when I do, I could never get no sleep.